We're taking you straight to Parliament, and Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. She's addressing Ghana's Parliament now.
Where you talked about, you had a Christian prayer and a Muslim prayer showing the beautiful unity of faith in Ghana. It's an honor to be here with you. You have many titles, and you are greatly admired. A reverend, person of faith who speaks about the common humanity of mankind, as you just did again in your opening prayer. A person of knowledge, a Fulbright scholar, a professor, an academic who teaches that value to young people. A person of leadership, a person of leadership, a diplomat, bringing the values of Ghana, of security and democracy and freedom in your service, to name one, as the representative to India, as a minister in the government of communications and of energy, a leader, and now as the Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana. So we say Reverend, Professor, Ambassador, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. It's also a privilege and to be here with your wife as well. Thank you. So I don't know where she is right now, but perhaps it's there. Thank you. Thank you so much for your lovely welcome as well. It's a wonderful honor to be here with Mensa Bonsu, the majority leader, to be with with the minority leader, who I've just been described, who jealously guards the left. That's the way it was described to me by the Speaker, Mr. Leader, and so. That's the way it was described to me by the Speaker, Mr. Leader, and so many of all of the leadership of Parliament. It's an honor to be with you, the parliamentarians, with ministers who are here, to President Rawlings and Mrs. Rawlings, to the two former speakers. That's pretty exciting for us. Speaker, the Right Honorable, has been acknowledged, and I also, to both of you, thank you for the privilege that you give us by attending. Now I want to talk about our why we are here, this delegation at this time. As we gather in this chamber in just a few hours from now in Jamestown, Virginia, they will be having the observance of the 400th anniversary of the first enslaved person to set foot in America from Africa. Right now, today, July 31st, 2019, we think it's very appropriate that we are here with you, our distinguished delegation. A sign of the importance of the U.S.-Ghana relationship is the fact that our three most recent presidents visited here as President of the United States. President Clinton, President George W. Bush, this is a bipartisan support for Ghana, and again, most recently, President Obama. In his first visit to sub-Saharan Africa, he came here and spoke to you in Ghana. And when he did, he said, I see Africa as a fundamental part of the interconnected world, as partners with America on behalf of the future that we all want for our children. Today, on behalf of the Congress of the United States, I'm deeply honored to address you and to reaffirm that partnership. Today, we reaffirm the message of friendship delivered by then Prime Minister Nkrumah to U.S. Congress 6 decades ago when he said, quote, the friendship which today exists between the United States and Ghana will endure so long as our two countries exist. That friendship endures because of the people. We are blessed in America with over 200,000 Ghanaians who are just a vitality to our country. It endures because of the security cooperation that we engage in to keep the world safe. It endures because of our history. 400 years ago, a sad history that we mark in the year of return. And it will endure because of the future. The future is well served by our Congressional Black Caucus, led by Congresswoman Karen Bass, which is on ever figuring out how to increase a better relationship, a more productive relationship between the United States and the continent of Africa. On this trip, our congressional delegation is distinguished by 13 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Members of and thank you, Mr. Speaker, again, for your beautiful acknowledgement of them, but I would like to say that they represent America from sea to shining sea all across our country. We are blessed by their leadership. I want to particularly acknowledge, he was mentioned, but I want to say that we are led here by Majority Leader Jim Clyburn, who is the highest ranking African American in the United States of America, James Clyburn. And another member of the leadership, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who's co-chair of the Steering and Policy Committee, a member of the House Democratic leadership, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and a friend who traces her DNA to Ghana. And I also want to acknowledge again John Lewis. He is an icon, as you have acknowledged, the conscience of the Congress. He ennobles our delegation, and I thank you for your appreciation of his service, John Lewis. Thank you, John. And so here we are on this special day. The Congressional Black Caucus, though, has worked ongoing to advance progress between our two countries and progress for Ghana, securing resources to alleviate poverty and power economic growth, leading the way on legislation for trade, sustainable development, and strong economic ties through the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, championed from its start by our distinguished whip, Mr. Clyburn. But in your appreciation of Terry Sewell being a member of the Ways and Means Committee, I see you recognize the strength of that. That's the committee of jurisdiction for trade. And fighting the scourge of HIV and AIDS through the partnership in PEPFAR, but other approaches, the Global Fund, led by Congresswoman Barbara Lee. She's the champion on that in the Congress. Our delegation is deeply moved to be here. As you know, this marks the 400th anniversary, and as I mentioned, today in Jamestown, Virginia, that acknowledgement will be made. But we are so excited about being here in the year of return. The year of return, we solemnly remember the horrors of that terrible atrocity. What a beautiful gesture of your president, President Akufo-Addo, to declare the year of return campaign, to turn the memory of such a horrible event in the history of the world. There could be nothing. Stiff competition for the honor, but for the recognition, not an honor, a shame. But it's so beautiful to see. We've met so many people who are here for the homecoming. Day to day, people in the country, from America with no official capacity, just wanting to come home. Our delegation has been humbled by what we have seen this week. At Elmina Castle, we saw the dungeons where thousands were grotesquely tortured. At Cape Coast Castle, we stood before the door of no return, where countless millions caught their last glimpse of Africa before they were shipped to a life of enslavement. Being here has been a transformative experience for all of us, even if you had been here before, because of the chronology of it. I said to the speaker earlier, we have the deepest, from the bottom of our hearts, the deepest appreciation for his hospitality to help us to make this all possible. But also, our souls have been touched by what we saw there, transforming how we go forward. These profound places are a sobering testament to humanity's capacity for great evil, and also a helpful reminder of the capacity for great resilience, renewal, and strength of a people. Indeed, there are two of the tragic sites. Where we went, we saw two of the tragic sites where the journey of African American experience began. This is where the African American experience began. There are other sites, but these two are two of them. And that makes them heritage sites for the history of the United States of America. We are very, very connected. During this solemn commemoration, we celebrate the contributions of generations of African Americans and of America's connection to Africa. Indeed, Ghana played a pivotal role in America's civil rights movement, right, Mr. Lewis? Standing as a spiritual symbol and a source of great hope in the fight against discrimination and segregation. That is why, when the clock struck midnight on March 6, 1957, so many Americans, including Reverend Martin Luther King, gathered on then soon to be no more the Polo Grounds to witness the Ghana become the world's youngest nation. Dr. King would speak of that night in his profound sermon, The Birth of a New Nation, when he spoke of the lowering of the Union Jack replaced by the Pan-African colors and the black five-pointed star, of the elders and the children alike who swept through the streets of Accra calling out, "Freedom, freedom." Dr. King saw the success of your independence and struggle for independence and for freedom and said, quote, "Ghana tells us that the forces of the universe are on the side of justice." Freedom, freedom. Forces on the side of justice. Exactly what is on your seal. Freedom and justice. Freedom and justice. Now, 6 decades later, the world once again depends on Ghana to be a force to advance freedom and justice. Today, too many people in too many places are living under regimes and in conditions that deny them the justice that is their right as citizens and as children of God. Justice is the foundation of hope, and we must ensure that every person, particularly our young people, have hope in the future. That is why we must achieve economic justice with boldness of vision. America is firmly committed to economic progress in Ghana, a commitment enshrined and advanced over the course of many years through the Millennium Challenge Partnership and in the African Growth and Opportunities Act. Together, our governments must continue to support smart developmental strategies that spur sustainable economic growth and lift up all families in Ghana and throughout Africa. Ghana is already a leader in intra-African trade, but we must do more working together to diversify economics and encourage trade through the continent so that we can create the regional security and stability necessary to achieve prosperity across Africa. We must create educational and economic opportunities that allow every student and worker to climb the ladders of opportunity, and we must focus on women and girls. The chair of the Women's Caucus, Chair Safov, she told me earlier of some of the ambitions, and in America we say, when women succeed, America succeeds, and I'm sure that holds in Ghana. When women succeed, Ghana succeeds. We must achieve justice in health care. In fact, understanding, as Dr. King said, as Mr. Clyburn often quotes, he heard him say it, of all the forms of inequality, injustice of health care is the most shocking and most inhuman because it often leads to physical death. Dr. King. We must work together not only to prevent and combat devastating public health causes of the day, but
You're still on the JoyNews channel. Too bad for that break in transmission from Parliament. But currently, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, is addressing Ghana's Parliament. She's been basically talking about the relationship between Ghana and the U.S., making reference to the importance of her address, relating it to the celebration in her home country of the 400th year since the first African slave landed in the U.S. And so it's of a lot of significance to them. She's been also making reference to Ghana's first president, Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and some statements he made in the U.S. Parliament when he addressed it some years back. And so basically she's been talking about the relationship that exists between Ghana and the U.S. and also talking about Ghana's freedom and justice and how she believes that Ghana must lead the charge for freedom. And so we'll be taking you back hopefully when we're able to establish a good line. We're really sorry about that. We're still working our lines to take you back to Parliament. But basically that's it for now. And we'll be keeping our eyes in Parliament and bringing you more. As you may be aware, Nancy Pelosi and the Congressional Black Caucus arrived in the country on Sunday, and as part of the activities, they met the President, the Speaker of Parliament. They've also been visiting the Cape Coast and Elmina castles to acquaint themselves with the slavery story and get first-hand information by touring these places. And the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, spoke about that experience and what it meant to them. And so it is really important that they are here as part of the Year of Return celebrations. And Ghana announced this year as the Year of Return to commemorate the 400th year since the first black arrived in the United States of America. And so encourage Ghanaians and Africans in the diaspora, Black Americans and others, even in the Caribbean, to come back home to visit Ghana if they've never done so, acquaint themselves with the slavery story, and also to encourage a lot of bilateral trade between these countries and the members of the diaspora. So basically that's it, and we're still trying to work our lines. Apologies once again. This is the JoyNews channel.
In the U.S. Capitol, when you visit there, you'll see this, as well as so many other lovely things that we've received on this trip. I said when you go through the halls of Congress after this trip, you're going to hear music from Ghana because there's so much manifestation of the beauty and the vitality of this country. In fact, we had the privilege on our way here when we were meeting in Italy with AFRICOM to also see Ghana's exhibit at the Biennale. And it was the star of the show of the art exhibition, the global art exhibition. It was called Ghana Freedom. Ghana Freedom. Ghana Freedom. So in my office, when you come, you'll see this bust of B. Du Bois, again, as a symbol of the values that Africa and America share. And let me end by recalling the beautiful words he wrote in a poem entitled Ghana Calls. This is what he said. Yet Ghana shows its might and power in its wondrous breath of soul, its joy of life, its selfless rule of giving. On behalf of the Congress of the United States, I thank the people of Ghana for all that you have given to the world and all that you continue to give. And I must say that speaking for, okay. I must say, speaking for our delegation, Speaking of our delegation, it was really wonderful for us to hear the opening of your session and seeing the vitality of dissent and how exciting that is. It made us feel right at home. In any event, as I said to the speaker when we arrived, with all this red carpet treatment, we may never go home. We love. So on behalf of our congressional delegation led by the Congressional Black Caucus, I thank you for the honor of your partnership and the privilege to be here today. May God bless Ghana. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless our beautiful partnership. Thank you all very much.
No, sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thought it was going
Order. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House and on behalf of myself, I thank you very much for this inspiring address. It was certainly take pride of place in the annals of our Parliament's history. Honorable members, at this time, I extend our recognition and appreciation to all our dignitaries present. Including the former head of state, His Excellency Rawlings and his wife, my predecessor, Right Honorable Do Ajaho, chiefs, diplomats, security personnel, and others here present, as well as the clergy, my good wife Alberta. I had a member for the majority prompting me. I wouldn't know the consequences if I didn't say so. As well as the august presence of the media, fourth estate of the realm, for your participation. I must let you know, honorable members, that the Speaker of the United States Senate here present, Congress here present, has presented us with a mace. Exact replica of the symbol of authority in the Senate of the United States of America. And of course, we had the opportunity to use that this morning. And on that, we may say an order. Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I will say one thing.
Mr. Speaker, that gavel comes not from me as Speaker, but on behalf of the Congress of the United States. And once again, I want all of our members of our delegation to rise because they are part of that presentation as well. And also, not only express our gratitude to you and the Parliament. And as we begin our work together, let us we want to acknowledge the leadership and excellence of your ambassador to the United States and our ambassador to Ghana. Thank you to our diplomats who are with us here today as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Over here we have a saying Sankofa, and we do a Sankofa and recognize the presence of the governor of the central bank. Honorable members, we shall now suspend sitting of the House briefly for some 15 minutes to enable the leaders and myself to usher the Honorable Speaker out of the chamber, and thereafter other protocols will follow, including some pictures, to which honorable members are invited. Honorable members, this House will stand adjourned for 15 minutes. Suspended for 15 minutes.
And that ends the presentation by Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the U.S. House of Reps, to Ghana's Parliament. Thank you so much for your company here on the JoyNews channel, and thank you so much for your company through News Desk. Apologies we couldn't bring you that discussion on YX. Concerns about examination malpractice, which led them to withholding over 48,000 results, and also the good news they've been sharing about the performance of candidates in this year's edition of the examination. Apologies for that, but there's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Bernice Abubeidulansa. Do stay with us for more exclusive news.